Hey, Curt Hennig fans. Hello and welcome to another episode of Curt Hennig Was the Best, Changed My Mind. I am your host, Steph. This is episode 20. Today on our perfect podcast, we are going to watch along to Curt's, because I think Curt was a little nervous for this match. After all, it was his first WrestleMania. Our contest winner was under the username Bad Cookies. Congrats! As the winner, he was allowed to ask me one question. His question was, who my pick as a tag team partner for Mr. Perfect would be and why? This was a perfect question, and one that made me think hard. My answer will be in the next segment. But great question, Bad Cookies. But before we start, please join me on my YouTube and Rumble channels, where if you like what you hear, you can subscribe, comment, like, and share so we can grow the channels. The links for both will be in the description field below this video. I recently had a fan of the show make a music video of Curt Hennig for me. I liked it so much that I decided to make it my theme song for episode 17 and all future episodes. However, for copyright reasons, I want to avoid YouTube, so it will be a Rumble exclusive only. If you like the theme song, please follow, like, comment, and share my Rumble content. I would like to give a shout out and a thank you to my paid patron supporter, Charlie Brown Politics. Thank you, Charlie Brown, for your support. If you too would like to be a supporter of my channel for as low as $1 a month, please click the link in the description field below this video to become a paid patron supporter. You will also get your name read on the show. For $3 a month, you will get your name read on the show and get to ask me a question which I will read and answer. For $5 a month, you get all this plus an exclusive behind the scenes of how I do my show and also a blooper reel. Because, trust me, I screw up a lot. For $10, you get all this and access to a live patron show where you can learn more about me. So please click the link in the description field below this video to sign up today. We have reached our first milestone. We have reached 100 subscribers on YouTube. Please help me reach my next milestone of 200 subscribers. Okay, guys, and we're back. So, the first thing I want to do, just like I promised, Bad Cookies, I would answer his question. I read it there. Basically, the question, I'll just read it again, was, who would I like to see as Mr. Perfect's tag team partner? Which was a perfect question, Bad Cookies. And why do I want that person? So, I really thought hard about this, and I had some people saying, oh, you should do two. Yes, I absolutely agree. There's going to be more than one, okay? So, I think, in the territories, I would have loved to have seen him and Dusty Rhodes. I think they would have been an excellent tag team. I mean, who doesn't love the American Dream, right? I loved Dusty, okay? I thought he had a great gimmick. He wasn't like, your average wrestler. If anyone has seen the Hard Times promo, he goes, my hiney's just a little big, my tummy's just a little big. I can't do the accent. Sorry, guys. I'm not very good at accents. I honestly, who does a good accent of Dusty? I'll tell you, Jim Cornette. It's like literally Dusty walked into the room. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen, Curt Hennig and Dusty Rhodes as partners, especially in the territories, because Dusty was a little younger, and, I don't know, I don't see, because Curt was a heel in 89 when Dusty came in, very briefly there in 89, 90, and I think maybe 91. But he might have been gone by then. I just think that Dusty was a little too old in 89 and 90 when he came back to the WWF. So I definitely would say Dusty Rhodes. Why? Because he was an amazing wrestler, and so was Curt. And I admire Dusty so much. I honestly think, I could see Dusty as, my dad. And then, that charisma and that flamboyancy. with Dusty. So it would definitely be Dusty, and why? Because I admired him as well. I really liked Dusty Rhodes. And I see a lot of Cody Rhodes. You know, I see a lot of Dusty and Cody. So, I've heard all kinds of, stories shared where, you know, Cody went out of his way to, you know, please fans and make a smile come on a kid's face. And I love that. I love that. That's exactly what Dusty would have done. And, you know, wherever Dusty is, man, we miss you. But I just think that, I mean, you can't say enough good things about Dusty Rhodes. So I'm trying to think of something else. So that would be my pick for the territories. I'm talking like Portland and AWA. But when you start getting to like WWF and you know, WCW, he kind of was partners with a lot of people in AWA, so I want to skip that. And WWF's kind of same thing, like he was tag teams with a lot of people there. It could be, yeah, I could see him with The Undertaker. Maybe when they had Undertaker as a heel, him and Mark would definitely be a force to reckon with, because Mark was pretty good. I'll give him, I wasn't much for The Undertaker, but I can definitely give Mark his due, that he really turned The Undertaker into something to, you know, admire and something to, you know, a hero kind of thing. Even though The Undertaker became a babyface later, like in 92, they turned him babyface. And I don't know why they did that, because The Undertaker is supposed to be a heel, but I guess they were just trying to gain sympathy because, you know, Hogan had left pretty much after 91 and kind of left till like 93 and then came back really briefly. I mean, he basically did to Vince McMahon what he also did to Vern Gagne, and there's a whole big story about that, that I've seen documentaries about the AWA and what Hogan did to Vern and Greg Gagne. So I just think that, I mean, The Undertaker was a good pick. I don't know about Jake the Snake. I just don't think that would be a good combination. I mean, Jake was okay, but I wasn't really much for Jake Roberts either. The only thing I credit Jake with is that he sort of helped Stone Cold Steve Austin make Austin 316, because Austin says in an interview that if you go back to that time, I go back to the promo in 96, Jake was talking about the Bible and John 3:16, and, you know, thump your Bible and be a good person, say your prayers, and as Hogan would say, eat your vitamins. It's like, almost like Jake was trying to take over Hogan's position. I don't know what he was trying to do, but anyway, Stone Cold Steve Austin won the, King of the Ring, and of course, Austin 316 was born, because he actually stood there and watched Jake do a promo on John 3:16 and the Bible and stuff. But of course, as we all know, Austin 3:16 has nothing to do with the Bible. It actually just was something that I guess Austin was just coming up with on the top of his head. And, you know, for the kids who watch modern wrestling, that's what wrestlers did. They didn't have writers back then. Okay? People were just coming up with this kind of stuff off the top of their heads. And Austin was no, you know, stranger to the ring, making up, you know, promos. Even Mr. Perfect will make up promos too. I think one of my favorite promos was he called the narcissist Lex Luger a sissy, a narcissy. And Curt came up with that stuff off the top of his head. He didn't have a writer writing it down. So I just think that, I just don't see Jake Roberts and Curt doing it. They're obviously, as I said in my episode 13 with the Shane Douglas thing, I mean, Curt came to him and said, hey, Shane, they're going to pair us together as the perfect pair. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But that would have been a great tag team there, too. Because I just think that, you know, Shane Douglas was up and coming. Of course, Shane Douglas would eventually go to ECW and make a name for himself there. He did briefly go in and out of WWF throughout the years there. I know he was in the Royal Rumble 1991. So, I do remember they're like, Shane Douglas, and it's a very young Shane Douglas in that Royal Rumble. So, and I know the Royal Rumble is either past or it's coming up. So, probably coming up tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they haven't done it already. But that would be my picks. WCW, I don't really, I mean, Curt sort of was tag teams with everyone, and no, I'm not going to pick Goldberg because I did not like Goldberg, and I don't think I would ever pick Goldberg because to me, he wasn't a wrestler. He was a football player who couldn't make it in the NFL, and he just kind of fell back into wrestling, and Eric Bischoff pushed him to the moon, and he didn't know how to do anything. He didn't know how to wrestle. And you could say, well, yeah, but there were other wrestlers who were NFL people first. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Jim Neidhart was on the Oakland Raiders. But, first of all, Jim Neidhart was pushed, but not pushed to the moon like Goldberg. And then they had that stupid streak going, which took way too freaking long. Just, there's nothing I can say good about Goldberg. He had a couple of moves that he did, but I know it came out later that he was hurting guys because he wasn't doing them right. It's like Warrior all over again. And I said on my X channel that, they were talking about the, Saturday Night Main Event match with Lanny and Curt and Warrior and Hogan. And of course Lanny takes that bump like a champ. But, I mean, that press slam, Warrior was hurting guys with that. And I know, Steve Lombardi came out and said that Warrior knocked him out a couple times. So again, a guy can look good, okay, because he's in there with wrestlers who know how to make him look good. And that doesn't make him a good wrestler, okay? You have to understand that Goldberg only wrestled for like a minute or 2 minutes because he only had a couple of moves that he didn't do very well. And a lot of people attribute Bret Hart, you know, Goldberg did kick him in the head, but, you know, a lot of people say, well, that's because Bret had a concussion the whole time, and unfortunately came out on the worst end of it. But still, Goldberg could have, you know, I guess if he had noticed the signs, and it could have been he just didn't know himself. I get that, but you know, when your partner's grabbing their head and, you know, they're kind of seeing stars almost, I mean, you pick up on signs like that and you stop or you end the match or however you do it. You just end it. Now, I know Bret being the consummate professional that he is, he probably wouldn't have stopped the match, but Bret was hurting through that whole match. And it just so happened that because of this kick, he never came back to wrestling. So, I can see why Bret would be very bitter about that. I mean, I would be bitter about that if someone kicked me in the head and didn't want to take care of me in the ring. I mean, that's their job, guys. That's their job to make sure that their opponent doesn't get hurt. And the fact that someone would do that, you know, I have, on X, I have a video of Goldberg doing the same thing to Curt. Now, I don't think that hurt Curt as much. I think that Curt was kind of used to it, and maybe he could kind of give himself a little padding. I would hope that was the deal. Like, maybe he didn't get hurt as much. But the first time Goldberg, speared Curt, it hurt. And he could have gotten seriously injured. That's why I wasn't much for Goldberg. So, I thought long and hard about this, and the only answer I could come up with was maybe Lex Luger. But, I mean, they kind of... See, Curt didn't wrestle when he was in the NWO Red and Black. So you could say that he technically wasn't a tag team with Luger. He was working with Curt Hennig. You know, everyone remembers him as the narcissist who came in Royal Rumble 93 and was revealed as Narcissus, or as Curt called him, Narcissi. We will be doing a watch along to that, by the way. It's WrestleMania 9 when Curt and Luger have their match. And I will share the Luger story where apparently Curt blacks out. So he like totally forgets the match and then, you know, slowly recovers it as they get going. And I guess they just called spots after that. But, I mean, Curt didn't try it on purpose. He was just really caffeinated up. And, you know, sometimes I draw a blank too. Like I can, you know, like before tests, like I think I was saying on an earlier episode, on tests, I would just blank out. And I'm like, oh no. But then as I started reading the questions, I would remember what they were. So, I hope that answers your question. I think that was a pretty lengthy, answer. And yes, there was more than one. I know I had a fan actually say, well, it should be more than one. You know, maybe The Undertaker and Jake the Snake. Undertaker I could see. I don't really see Jake the Snake. Maybe if like Curt had come back, if Curt, let's do this scenario. If Curt hadn't left in 96, I could see him, because he was with Triple H there for a while, but I could also see him tag teaming with Stone Cold, because Stone Cold was a heel at first. So I could almost see Curt with Stone Cold, like them being a tag team, if Curt had decided to come back to WWF instead of going to WCW. So, I mean, I could almost see Stone Cold Steve Austin and Curt Hennig being, you know, Mr. Perfect, being tag team partners. Kind of like, Mankind, or not Mankind, but, Dude Love and Stone Cold were also tag team. And then also Undertaker and Stone Cold. So, great question. And like I said, it was a lengthy answer. I just don't see Jake the Snake. I've heard stories about Jake the Snake that are not always to get in the middle of that. So, because I care about Curt, so, you know, I wouldn't want him to, and I'm not saying Jake would be a bad influence on him. I don't think I'd want, in the words of some people, if Jake would show up, you know, because I'm sure he was like some wrestlers sometimes, they just wouldn't show up. So, I would pass on the Jake the Snake thing. So, but great question, a perfect question, Bad Cookies, and one that definitely made me think real long and hard about that one. So, also, I do want to, just elaborate a little bit. Yes, I had a fan of mine, a fan of the show. He goes under Grasp Fire. He will also be on my show on February 24th. So look for that debate. It's not really a debate. It's more like we're just going to talk about wrestling. I'm going to talk about Curt Hennig. He's going to talk about his stuff. And we're just going to kind of, you know, shoot the breeze for a couple hours and just talk about our favorites. And I told him, you know, I'm a walking encyclopedia when it comes to, you know, Curt Hennig and certain wrestling things. Because I've done the research. I've watched YouTube videos, and I can't tell you how much stuff I've seen on YouTube about wrestling. I've seen even a couple of the Dark Side of the Ring stuff. I just recently saw one on the Junkyard Dog and Adrian Adonis. You know, I saw the one on China. I saw the one on the Warrior. I saw the one on Grizzly Smith. That's why I can say what I can say about Grizzly Smith and about Jake the Snake. So I've seen most of the Dark Sides of the Ring, and there's more coming out, but none that I really want to see. So, anyway, my fan, who's coming on the show, recently had showed me something that was, I've never heard of this band, but the band's called Halloween, and the song was called Perfect Gentleman. And I heard the song and I was like, oh, that would be so great if you could put like a video montage of Curt Hennig in it. And he sort of put two and two together and said, hang on a second. He came back about an hour later and said, here, what do you think? And it was so awesome, guys. I can't even tell you how awesome this is. It fits with Curt Hennig, okay? It fits everything Curt would ever stand for as Mr. Perfect, okay? It's awesome. The only thing is, unfortunately, because of copyright reasons on YouTube, it will mostly be a Rumble exclusive only. So, what I want you to do is, if you have to, pause this episode, go to the link section below this video, and just take a look at it. I think you're gonna love it. I'm going to have it I have it for episode 17. I'm going to have it for 18, 19, and then of course this is episode 20. So, I'm going to do this one too. And I think it's so awesome that, that he did this, and it fits so well. I think he did such a great job with this. I loved it so much. I can't stop watching it. And I don't usually like bands like that, but they are kind of like, as I was telling my man earlier, they kind of sound like an AC/DC, like band, like a cover band for AC/DC. And like their sound is kind of like, Highway to Hell, if you've ever heard that song. It was the theme song to SummerSlam 1998. So if you have to pause this, go check out 1998 SummerSlam and you'll hear the theme song, which is Highway to Hell. It's kind of like that. And I like it. I like it so much that literally I had to make this a Rumble exclusive theme song for me. Like I said, it will only be on Rumble. So if you like it just as much as I liked it, follow me, like me, share me, get my, Rumble numbers up to 100, and we'll go beyond that too. Right now I only have 9 subscribers. So, I think people get confused and they just want to follow me, but you're following my screen name or my username. You're not following my channel. So I could have, 20 people following me right now on Rumble, but it only shows 9 because you have to subscribe to the channel directly. You can't subscribe to my username. Otherwise it'll only show 9 people have subscribed to the channel. So everything will be in the description field. The link to my channel specifically will be in the description field. So all you have to do is click that link and then you just hit follow. Make sure it says Curt Hennig was the best, changed my mind. Because if you're just following my username, unfortunately your follow is not going to show up for my channel. It'll only show up for my username. And I don't know where that is on Rumble. So just click the link, hit follow, just make sure it says Curt Hennig was the best, changed my mind. Okay? But thank you so much, Grassfire, for doing that. I love it. I mean, I can't stop watching it, and even my guy was like, that's awesome. Okay, that is so awesome. So it will be a Rumble exclusive. Like I said, for copyright reasons, I just don't want it taken down. I would just be heartbroken if it got taken down by YouTube. Just because it has that, music in it. But I urge you, please go to Rumble and check it out. It will be at the beginning of every episode from, episode 7 on. So, well, until someone else makes me a music video with a different song. I was actually thinking, if someone can put like a little montage together and just make it like 30 seconds, you don't have to make it a minute. This one is like almost a minute long, which is fine. You can do that too. But try to keep it under a minute. Try not to do anything longer than that. But another song you could try to put a montage of videos with Curt Hennig in it is My Perfect Friend. Or Perfect Friend, I think it's called. It was Randy Savage's rap song to Curt Hennig. And I when I first heard it for the first time, I went, that's Randy Savage. I was really shocked. I never had heard it before. But someone had asked me, have you ever heard My Perfect Friend or Perfect Friend? And I went, no. Is there such a thing? And yeah, it was dedicated to Curt Hennig. And it was done by Randy Savage right before he passed. I just had a fan who showed me the old video of Shawn Stasiak being the perfect one in WCW, and then Curt comes and like smacks the ball out of his hand, and it brings you back to those old vignettes where Curt was literally playing basketball and doing baseball and hockey, football, darts. I mean, he was Mr. Perfect. There's no doubt about that. But then I remember when it was sort of like Vince Russo was taking over and he wanted the younger guys, and I don't know how Curt felt about that, but I'm sure Shawn Stasiak was a good friend of Curt's. He knew his dad. So it probably was like a passing of the torch kind of thing. But still, I like that little beatdown he does. And then, what's really sad is that Shawn Stasiak ended up in WWF and he was called Meat. That's it. He was just called Meat. So I think that was a raw deal for Shawn Stasiak, who deserved something better than that. I think his dad's name was Stan Stasiak. But anyway, I don't even remember what, a theme song. I think that's what we were talking about. And we were talking about My Perfect Friend. So, if anything, I would like to see, someone do a music video with that, where you just stick in montage of videos and just go nuts with it. Play with it, find anything that has like perfect. Actually, there is a song, and you guys are gonna laugh, on YouTube. It's called Like Curt Hennig. And it's a rap about Curt Hennig and being smart like Curt Hennig. I kid you not. I'll put that in the link in the description and you guys can check it out. When I looked at it, I'm like, what in the world? So anyway, it's definitely something that I've been looking for. I just didn't want to do the copyright thing because YouTube is so, particular about that. So just to please the Amazon gods, I'm not going to post that on YouTube. It'll be a Rebel exclusive. And again, I wish YouTube would go back to the way it was because I was able to promote my own channel in comment sections, but I can't do that anymore. So, trust me, I've tried to link my YouTube and I've tried to link my, I've tried to link even Rumble in chats, and unfortunately, YouTube won't have it. And it's my own YouTube channel, and I still can't promote it. So if you could just all do me a favor, if you like what you hear on YouTube or on Rumble, hit that like button or follow button, like it, share it, comment, do whatever you can to help me grow the channel because unfortunately I can't do it the old fashioned way because YouTube thinks I'm trying to promote things freely, God forbid you to actually try to promote your own channel for free. You have to pay a bunch of money to them or you don't get hits or anything. So, just help me, share if you like it and, get it to every wrestling fan We do have things coming up for me, especially next week and the following week. We're looking at some good things here. Also, I just want to let everyone know that we will be doing a special birthday podcast to the great Curt Hennig, March 28th, 2024. He would have been 66 years old. We will be doing a special on there, not so much in February. February is not a day we want to remember, or a month we want to remember. But let's remember Valentine's Day and not the tragedy of what, I don't even want to say it, So let's just not remember the tragedy. Let's just remember him on his birthday and when he turned 66. Or he would have turned 66. And let's just keep his memory alive. I'm going to do some special things on his birthday. I'm going to see if I can talk to a couple people, and just make it a birthday celebration for him. Keep his memory alive, keep his legendary, legend alive. And, so we'll see what we can do. But let's get to the final thing of what we're going to do here, and that is we're going to watch along to WrestleMania 5 when Curt was facing the Blue Blazer, who was, yes indeed, Owen Hart in a mask. And like I said in the opening, Jesse Ventura makes a comment, okay? Actually Gorilla makes it, I think. So Gorilla Monsoon makes the comment, Mr. Perfect looks very lethargic, Jess. And Jess goes, yeah, he does. I don't think he looked lethargic. I think he just looked nervous. Like he was really, really nervous that if he screwed up, he was going to look bad or make the product look bad. So everyone has to remember, this is Curt's first WrestleMania. He was probably nervous beyond nervous. I mean, he had been in that ring a million times. But remember, guys, WrestleMania was always the spectacle of the year, right? Vince always made it so, you're always trying to one-up the last one, okay? So WrestleMania 4, Randy Savage had won the belt, okay, at the Trump Plaza. Figure that one out. So you had Curt probably nervous beyond nervous. Now, he took care of Owen Hart. Even Brett says that in his book, that he took care of Owen. But he was probably really, really nervous. And I'm sure Owen was nervous too. It sort of was their first, for both of them, it was their first WrestleMania. And me, I would be like chewing my nails, be like, oh gosh, I hope I don't screw up. Because if you screwed up back then, Vince, you were gone. And you would never be heard of again. And I don't think, for Curt, I don't think that was at the forefront, because he still kind of was, new. He had just come in. He started doing TV matches that I can find in September of '88. So again, he had only been on TV for the WWF for a couple of months. So give the man his due. He probably was about, 5-6 months. So he probably was a little nervous. I don't see him as lethargic. There is a little hesitation there, but I think he was probably anticipating Owen to do something else. And, they just kind of had a little bit of timing trouble, and that's okay. That happens when you get nervous. But then if you watch him through that match, he seems a little more confident. He gets a little more confidence in him, and he just seems to feel a little bit more at ease. And so the match goes on and looks a little more crisp. And, the timing was there, and of course he wins with the perfect plex, as you will see, you'll hear it actually, in the background as we watch along. But, give the devil his due, and I'm not calling Curt the devil. There is no devil. Give the man his due, okay? He had prepared for this moment for probably a while, and again, when you're at WrestleMania and you're performing in front of a huge crowd, and it was at the Trump Plaza again, WrestleMania 4 and 5 were both at Trump Plaza in Atlantic City. That is a big deal, because not only is it a spectacle, the biggest spectacle of the year, and they always want to one-up the previous WrestleMania, okay? So WrestleMania 3, it was Andre and Hogan. WrestleMania 4, Savage won the belt. WrestleMania 5 was Randy and Hogan, Randy versus Hogan, and Hogan gets the belt back. So, again, they wanted to one-up the previous WrestleMania. And when you're there, I'm sure that, the butterflies start going and you're like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, Vince prided himself on making that the biggest spectacle of the year. And it was all on a tangent, I guess. But, he was putting everything into WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania 2. That there have been documentaries about that. And he did it with the help of, MTV and stuff, and that Rock and Wrestling. And, so Vince McMahon put a lot on the line to make WrestleMania very successful, and it was. And that's why he would call it the biggest spectacular, I can't even say it no more, the biggest spectacle of the year, and it's just because he wanted to, make it successful, or he wanted to make it even more successful than the year before. So, and that's why WrestleMania kind of is the coup de grace of professional wrestling. Because in my mind, if I'm putting all my money on this one pay-per-view, you're darn right I want it to succeed. Okay? So we are definitely going to watch that. There was something else I wanted to talk about briefly, because I'm going to touch on it more on the upcoming things that I have in the works. And we're just going to talk briefly about it, like I said, because from what I've seen, I was pretty grossed out. And we're going to have to touch on the Vince McMahon stuff, because Vince McMahon is a big part of the WWF, and he was also, he commentated with Curt. So, he was a big part of, the whole Curt Hennig or Mr. Perfect deal. He was in the babyface turn when Curt turned babyface, before Survivor Series. And as you know, we just did the Survivor Series match in the last episode. So, we have to talk about it, guys. I'm not going to talk about it too long. All I will say is, Vince made this bed, and now he has to lie in it. Okay? I had heard about the scandal with the paralegal, and now this scandal just kind of put as we would say, it just adds fuel to the fire. Or it could be, putting a cherry on top. So when I saw it break, I did see the story break on X. I was on X when it broke. All I kept thinking in my head was, well, he's a billionaire. They're allowed to do whatever they want, and they don't go to jail for it. Okay? You have to understand, these people can buy people off. They can buy off judges. They can buy off lawyers. They can buy a whole bunch of people, and nothing's ever done with them. My example would be, look at, Clinton, Gates. These guys were all tied to Jeffrey Epstein, and they're still walking around free. Okay? Or Jeffrey E. For the YouTube people. So, that's the only thing I can come to the conclusion of with Vince McMahon. And I wouldn't be surprised if it came out tomorrow that Vince had ties to Jeffrey E. Sorry guys, but that's how I feel. Okay? Again, I'm not defending Vince because I don't like Vince McMahon. I don't like the business person Vince McMahon. When I heard about the paralegal stuff, I literally was sick to my stomach and ew, who would want to do that? He's 78 years old, 79 years old. That would be like doing it with your grandfather. It's kind of gross. Really disgusting. However, everyone's like, well, you always say your man is older than you. Yes, that's true. My man is in his 60s and I'm 37. So, all I'm saying is I'm not with my man because he has money. Okay. Yeah, my man has money, but, I'm not with him because he has money. Okay. I love my man with all my heart. And I wouldn't care if this man had a dime to his name. I would still be with him even if he didn't have a dime to his name. Okay? That's how much I love him. Vince, on the other hand, again, I heard about the scandal with the paralegal. Okay? I was just as grossed out about that as I'm sure the rest of you were. This latest scandal, to be honest, I don't think it was a sex trafficking thing. I think she was a willing participant. Only because I did read some of those messages, and let me tell you guys, those messages were disgusting. I literally almost had to physically go in the bathroom and vomit after I read some of them. But then, again, not defending Vince, what he did was totally ew. Ew. But you guys have to remember, again, not defending him, all men, and women too, have sexual fantasies that they would like to play out. Some men get to do it, some men don't. Some women get to do it, some women don't. I mean, everyone has a sexual fantasy, and it's probably worse than the next person. Like I said, rich people get to sort of live out their sexual fantasies. Poor people don't. It's just the way it goes, poor guys. I'm sorry. But every man, even the ones listening right now, have a sexual fantasy or fetish that they just, it gets them off. Okay, great. I'm so glad that does that for you. But Vince, again, has a lot of money and can afford to have those sexual liaisons, okay? Now, do I believe that he came to this woman and said, oh, Linda found out about my affair? Dude, you and Linda don't even live in the same state. They live in different states. They haven't seen each other, I was told, for 10 years. So it's not really a marriage. It's more of a marriage of convenience. And the only reason I think Vince won't get a divorce is because Linda would get a settlement. Well, you've already given her a settlement. Excuse me. You've given her Florida. A house in Florida. She lives I'm guessing by herself. Maybe she has mates and stuff. In a house in Florida. So you've never even seen your wife in 10 years. She lives in another state. You're only married on paper. And that's why I think Vince has his sexual fantasies come to life, because he is a billionaire. He has billions of dollars. And people like that can do that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, that's just the way of the world. But if you read her messages back to him, and I did, I read them both, and there was a lot of messages, and trust me, I try not to read the dirtiest of dirty, because Vince was really dirty, okay? Really dirty. It was just gross and disgusting. It's like reading your grandfather writing his sexual fantasies down in his journal or something. It's like really gross and disgusting. But I read the message that she sent to him, and it was about Johnny Laurinaitis. And it was, Johnny really wants to have sex with you, yada yada, you should get a hold of him, you should have sex with him. And the response from her, and I quote, was, give me a week and I'll be ready. Tell him soon. Unquote. If someone is distressed and someone is feeling like they're being used or forced to do something, their response would not be, I'll be ready in a week. Their response would be, ew, that's gross. I don't want to have sex with your friends. You're disgusting. Never contact me. So that gives me the impression and how I interpreted it, that she was a willing participant. She just wanted to wait a week. And there's lots of reasons why women wait. Okay, there's other stories of him defecating on her head, probably by accident, because he's 78 years old. I mean, I don't know an old guy who doesn't just defecate. That isn't by accident, unless he can actually make it to the toilet in time. So my guess is that he defecated on her head, probably by accident. Again, not defending him, but that was okay. Apparently they were having a threesome. Okay, so it was okay to have a threesome and Vince accidentally, poops on your head, but it's not okay for you, first of all, she said she had consensual sex with him a year before he supposedly sexually, did stuff to her. That timeline doesn't add up. Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure the rich people like Vince McMahon will take advantage of women like that. If he had been doing it all along, coming on to her and forcing her to do things she didn't want to do, then it would reveal that. But a threesome was okay, but you said that he locked you in a room and, he forced himself on you on a massage table. Again, so a threesome was okay with you and he accidentally defecated on you, but he forced himself on you a year later, and it was, stuff. He was forcing himself. Sorry, ma'am, but it doesn't add up. Things don't add up here, okay? Again, not defending Vince. Vince is a dirty old man. Very dirty. Ew. Guys, I'm not kidding when I say I was I was dry heaving when I was reading these messages. Though some humor did come out of it. All I could think of was, there was a line in there about 3 black dicks. And all I kept thinking was, where is Vince going to get a black dick from? Unless he paints his black? Where is he going to get it? Maybe they could paint black dildos, but So I got a little humor out of that, okay? But that's because I have a very sick sense of humor. But yeah, unless Vince paints his dick black, not sure where he's going. I don't know where he's going with that, okay? So that was the only humor I had out of it. So just a brief, thing. I think it's going to settle out of court. Vince, obviously he resigned from everything. I saw news on X that there's no page about him on the WWF website, WWE website. If you go looking for it, there's no Vincent Kennedy McMahon there, so, I don't know if that's true. I guess you could always look it up, do your research, right? Do your own research. Go see if there's a page on there for Vince McMahon. I don't know. I don't really want to go looking for it. I'm already grossed out and I already feel like I need another shower, after reading that stuff. So, and like I said, I try not to read all of it. There's some of that stuff I didn't read at all. It's just from the tone of the messages. The other message from her, or from Vince, was, you should have breakfast with Johnny Ace, That's all I'm going to say about that. So I am going to get everything ready for WrestleMania 5, just as we talked about, because we're going to do that watch along, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Alright guys, and we're back. So if you would go to your Peacock subscription, and you're going to go to WrestleMania, and it's Season 5, Episode 1, because of course this is WrestleMania 5, so it was numbered. You're going to start about 50 minutes and 16 seconds in. So when I tell you to press play, just go ahead and do that. And just let me make sure I have everything here. Oops. Okay. So we're going to hit play right now. Of course, they're just going to show the bushwhackers and the Rougeaus, so they're going to talk about yeah. And it's Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon. One of my favorite pairings, even though Jesse didn't stay around to, it was WrestleMania 6 and then he was out. So they're gonna go right to ring and Curt will be in the ring. And if you watch really carefully, Curt misses a step. Like he kind of, not trips, but he misses a step. There he is. My hot looking sexy guy right there, Mr. Perfect. Whoop, he missed a step. And he didn't even miss a beat. Did you see how smooth that was? He is Mr. Perfect. And he's wearing a singlet, whereas before this match, he was sort of wearing just smaller tights, you know? So I guess he wanted to reinvent himself, and, I mean, he looks great. It's my favorite color, green, so... So here comes Owen Hart. Of course, this is the Blue Blazer. When Owen was the Blue Blazer, this was before he would come down to the ring on those little gliding things. I don't know why they made him fly like that. I mean, yeah, Shawn Michaels had done it, but, but I mean, just let him, you know, walk to the ring. They didn't need all that flying stuff. Woo! That was a good one. You can tell that's Owen. The big nose, you can tell it's Owen. It's a long nose. That's right. I love just when he talks about Larry the Axe right there. I love it so much. I think he just, again, they both were probably nervous, and Curt, you know, he liked to start slow, kind of do, you know, his kind of match, where the Blue Blazer was a little bit fast and very aerial. So I think that could have contributed to them looking like they're lethargic. Yeah, it's Owen Hart. But they can't give kayfabe away, right? Go, knees up.
That's all part of the game. Sort of took the starch right out of the Blue Blazer. You can imagine. A normal person would have been down for a week and a half. Boy, I'm glad I retired. So am I. Glad I retired or you're retired? No, I'm glad that you retired. Reverse chinlock now, sitting there right on the...
I think this is what they would call another rest move, so... So, I love that when Jesse would say that, and because I talked to Jesse on Clubhouse, I found out who Jeremiah was. So, Terry is his wife, Jade is his daughter, Tyrell is his son, and then Jeremiah was a nephew. So I talked to Jesse about that, found out who Jeremiah was. I knew who the other people were, I just wasn't sure about Jeremiah. No, I think he's just nervous. He doesn't look lethargic, he just looks nervous. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, I don't think it was lethargic. I think he was just nervous that he was going to mess up. Perfect flex. He got him. That's right, his perfect record was still intact. Wouldn't be ruined until WrestleMania 6. Oops, sorry. Wouldn't be ruined again until WrestleMania 6. So they're going to do a replay. That was close. Too close. Okay, guys, you can go ahead and hit pause. You should be at 58:58. So that was the Mr. Perfect match at WrestleMania 5. Like I said, I didn't want to make the question too easy, but then I didn't want to make it too hard. And if people had followed Curt's career as much as I did, now I was only 3 years old when this match, well, almost 3. Because I think this was early April. So I was almost 3 years old, so I probably didn't know what wrestling was then. But when I was old enough to know what wrestling was, I followed Curt's career and then found these later. So if you were old enough to remember Curt's match at WrestleMania 5, bravo. I don't, because I was only 2, almost 3. And that's why I sort of I don't want to make it too easy, what state was Curt from? Oh, he's from Minnesota. But then I didn't want to make it too hard, who did he face in a knee versus knee match in Portland, Oregon? Well, many of you won't know that because you haven't seen his Portland work, or even, some of you don't even know his AWA stuff. Which is another one I was thinking of, what happened in his match with Nick Bockwinkel, where he ended up getting the belt taken away from him. That would have been, 87, excuse me, it would have been 87, so I was about a year old. And, pretty much there was, Larry Zbyszko was at ringside and supposedly handed him a roll of dimes, which you can kind of see enter his hand. Even if it was fake and it wasn't really a roll of dimes, and Curt just opened his hand, you could still kind of see his hand open. So, he knocks out Nick Bockwinkel, and that's what caused the controversy, was, Larry Zbyszko. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to do something I didn't want to do something so easy, what famous, music duo was Curt in 1999, and that was the West Texas Redneck. So I wanted something to be easy. I didn't want it to be too easy. I didn't want it to be too hard either. So I figured people would at least know some of Curt's career in the WWF, and that's why I picked the WrestleMania 5. Because I've not only seen this episode, but I've seen, I also heard about it in Brett's book, and, Brett, he has nothing but great words to say about Curt. He thanks Curt up and down in his book for taking care of Owen, who was the Blue Blazer, and nothing but praise from Brett when it comes to that. So they took care of each other. Yeah, they looked a little off, but I think they were both very, very nervous because it was both of theirs first WrestleMania. So, and that can I would have butterflies in my stomach, as I said in the previous segment. So, it's something that I think Curt was really thinking about. He probably was in his own head. And just, when you're in your own head, you just overthink things. And I think they both were kind of overthinking things. But it turned out to be a great match. There was a little bit of a hesitation there. But again, I think that was, he might have been anticipating Owen doing something else. So the timing was a little off. But, all in all, it was a great match. So I'm going to go ahead, take a little break, get everything put back, and I will see you on the flip side. Okay, guys, and we're back. So, this one's kind of a short one today, although the beginning was very long. Like I said, I wanted to touch on the whole Vince McMahon thing. We went over it, and I will go over it some more this week when I'm on Angel Rivera's show. I'm sure we'll touch about it and we'll talk about it. But I have really great things coming for me. I just had the news brought to me. I actually was on a live show with Kit Cabello and Jessie Jett, and I actually had someone say, oh, they were talking good things about me, and they were talking me up to this other person who was kind of, had things in the work. And so there are exciting things coming. I promise you, you're going to see your girl. She's hit the big time now. She's not just some little podcaster trying to start her own little thing anymore. So, just continue to support me if you can. Become a Patreon supporter. Everything will be in the description field below this video. So if you can, go to YouTube and subscribe, like, comment, share. Try to get me to 200. We are trying to grow the channel. I mean, if you can get me to 1 million subscribers on YouTube and 1 million on Rumble, great. That's what our ultimate goal is. Cabela has 45,000, so hey, if we can get up to 45,000 too, I'll be just as happy and as thrilled as pie, trust me. And if you can get my Rumble numbers up, try saying that 5 times fast. Not so easy, is this? But if you can get those numbers up, I would really greatly appreciate it. Remember, you have to subscribe to the channel, not my username. Otherwise, it will only count it, it won't count it at all on Rumble. Rumble's kind of weird that way. But subscribe to the channel, not to my username, okay? I know YouTube is a little different like that, but this is Rumble, so this is a new cakewalk. But also, like I said, look out for that new theme song. I'm so excited. I love that theme song. I could watch it all day. And I don't even know the band Halloween, but when I saw the, music video for this song, it looked like Curt, like when Curt was much younger and if he had longer hair. So the guy actually looked like Curt Hennig a little bit. So, I'm just blown away by this gentleman and what he did for my theme. I've been looking for a theme song. It's just that, unfortunately, with YouTube and copyright reasons, I knew immediately they would take it down. In fact, I was going to do Curt's theme. I was just going to play Curt's theme, before the show. So I was going to have like, his theme song play for a little bit and then be like, hey, Curt Hennig fans, yada, yada, yada. But I thought, oops, wait a minute. That's copyrighted stuff. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. If someone can verify that for me, that'd be great. But as far as I know, I think all that music is copyrighted. Even if I did the West Texas Redneck stuff, I still think that stuff is copyrighted. So, but yet they have it on YouTube. But just in case, I would love, like I said, I probably will have to sing you the Redneck song, or I would have to make it like a Rumble exclusive. So I would only have to put it on Rumble. But we will talk about that song because I hate rap, or rap is crap. And like I said, every time Curt would come out, I would be singing it. So, and hey, he was a good singer. I really enjoyed his voice. I know he probably wanted to sound like Hank Williams Sr., and in his own way he does. He found his own little voice there. So I like it. So it might be like I just share it on Rumble. If you are subscribed to my Rumble page, you'll get to hear it. Unfortunately, I'll have to make it only Rumble at this time. I could sing it. I've been told I have a very good voice by my man. And I was thinking about it, but I don't really do good with acapella. I'm not really much for acapella. I would have to have music, and I don't think they have a karaoke of that. So, so all in all, it probably will be on a Rumble episode of me doing, or having the Rap is Crap there. Just because I don't want to do the copyright thing for YouTube, even though you can find that song on YouTube right now, and I'm sure it has like over 1 million views and stuff. But as we are still a little channel. We're still a very small channel. I have 108 subscribers on YouTube. Again, if you can get me up to 200, that would be great, or up to 20K for all I care. That would be great. So right now, since we're still a little channel with, only 108 subscribers, I just don't trust YouTube that they wouldn't tomorrow take off my channel because I have some music on there that, they could say is copyrighted. So, that's why I try to talk over the music sometimes, when we do watch-alongs, because I don't like, I would hate to think that, YouTube is not promoting my channel as much because, I have copyright music, Everybody knows the YouTube thing. I don't like how YouTube has become, or what they've become. And it just seems like they made it harder for smaller channels to grow. Channels like mine. Unless you're a specific topic. But, like Kit says, you're gonna start off small. We all started off small. And you will get bigger. Because I know there's a lot of wrestling fans out there, and I know there's a lot of Curt Hennig fans. I can't tell you how many Curt Hennig fans I found just on X. I mean, most of the people that are subscribed, now some of them I think are bots. Everybody gets those, okay? But a majority of people who are following me follow me because I like Curt Hennig and I'm talking about him and keeping him in everyone's mind and everyone's hearts. And, they're like, yeah, I know who Mr. Perfect is. And that's why I'm trying to share a lot of his Portland stuff, his AWA stuff, and even the TNA stuff I could actually kind of do a watch along with. I will do a watch along with his last match. I don't think it's fair that was his last match, but I will share it and I will do a watch along with it. There's a match with Jeff Jarrett I know he does. And there's even a promo he does on Jeff Jarrett. So, in TNA. So this was like right before he passed. Like I said, that date is coming up pretty fast and I kept thinking like, I get paid on that day. Like, I have a full-time job and I actually get paid on that day. So, it's not a very good day for me. I'm just not in a really good mood every time this date comes around. So I doubt seriously I'm going to be on anyone's channel or anything, especially on this date. But I was hoping to have people on my channel at least on March 28th, and that is his birthday. So March 28th, 2024, we should be having something come out for his birthday. I'm going to try to get it together. Again, we have nothing but great things coming up, guys. Please stay tuned. And if you do like what you hear, please like, subscribe, follow, share the content, get us up, get our numbers up so that we can keep showing this stuff to other wrestling fans. And of course, if you can give, $1 a month, I really would appreciate it. Again, my Patreon stuff will be below this video in the description field. All you have to do, if you can do $1 a month, great. If not, just if you could continue to share my content, repost stuff on X for me. If I say attention repost or, this or that and the other thing, please do that. And like I said, you're going to see me a lot more often because I have great things coming up for me in this month of February. I have some really great things coming, even though the 9th is not such a great day for me. And like I said, I'll probably be in a bad mood. Not too much of a bad mood because I do kind of get paid. And I like getting paid because I can pay my bills and stuff. But, if you do follow my other channel, Mrs. Witchy Perfect, that's who I am. I would prefer if you click on my profile links to my other channel, my Mr. Perfect is Perfect. So I'm just letting you know that is me. And I would rather you subscribe to my Mr. Perfect is Perfect instead of my Mrs. Witchy Perfect, because my Mrs. Witchy Perfect only has links to my other channel. It doesn't have any of my podcasts or any of my videos or anything. So if you can, and if you are subscribed to my Mrs. Witchy Perfect, if you could just unsubscribe and then go to my main page, or not the community page, but the About Me tab on YouTube, and there's my YouTube link, my Rumble link, my Patreon stuff. So I have it all there in my About Me and Mrs. Witchy Perfect. If you could go there, subscribe to my other channel, get my numbers up, and that would be greatly appreciated. So I just want to let everyone know that if you are subscribed to my Mrs. Witchy Perfect, if you could just hop over to the other one and subscribe to that one instead, that would be great and awesome. And I love all you guys, because you support me, and the support for me that I've seen is so overwhelming. I can't tell you guys how many times I've just wanted to cry tears of joy, because I reached my first milestone, and I've been doing this for a year, but I wasn't really concerned about YouTube. So that's why it's been 2 years since I posted on there. My first post was my promo. I was more worried about my podcast on the audio side. I wasn't really worried about YouTube. So that's why YouTube is kind of I didn't have a lot of views. I didn't have a lot of subscribers either. Had maybe 10 subscribers for 2 years, almost 2 years. It's been almost 2 years. So for a year and a half, I only had 10 subscribers. And that's because I was more worried about everyone looking at the audio versions of my podcast through something called Buzzsprout or something, or Buzzsprout. They were a web podcast hosting website, and I was more concerned with the views on there, because I was getting views from everywhere, and mostly Germany. So I was very, very happy to have German support, people in Germany supporting me. I had a fan that from Heisse, Germany. It was so great. I would see them, and they literally were watching they were listening to every video, or every audio. So I was more worried about those numbers. And back when I started posting, especially after the Jim Cornette episode, like when he answered my email, I literally went into a comment section, cause he when you ask him a question, he'll have artwork done and then he'll like do a little segment. And they had a little segment for my specific question. So you see like this artwork of Curt sitting there like drinking a cup of coffee with his leg kind of like over the other one. In general, then you can support me all you want, because that's what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about Curt Hennig, but we're also here to talk about wrestling. So if you are a wrestling fan, period, and trust me, my dad and my mom are old enough to remember Haystacks Calhoun. So it's in my family. My aunt was a wrestling fan. A bunch of my cousins were wrestling fans. You know, my mom and dad have seen it and were wrestling fans. My dad was a wrestling fan. Not so much my mom. She just remembers, you know, Haystacks Calhoun. So it is something that, you know, families will come together about. And that's what I love more than anything. And that's why I love my fans, because we come together, we talk about wrestling, we know what we're talking about. It's something when someone says, oh, I'm not a wrestling fan. And we just kind of, you know, okay, fine, bye, see ya. And then we're like, oh, yes, I'm a wrestling fan. And we're like, oh, yeah, did you ever see so-and-so and Mr. Perfect and Hulk Hogan and Warrior and Stone Cold? Even The Rock. Even though I'm not much for The Rock, not much for Vince McMahon, not much for, you know, Mick Foley, but I will still support any wrestling fan because I am a wrestling fan right there with you. Okay? So I want everyone to remember that even if you don't like Mr. Perfect, you don't really like Curt Hennig, you didn't like Stone Cold, that's okay. But the fact that you're a wrestling fan and I'm a wrestling fan makes it worth the while. Okay? And I would support any wrestling fan, just like I hope you'll support me, because I'm also a wrestling fan. And trust me, I wanted to be a wrestler. As I said in my background, I wanted to be a wrestler because of Curt Hennig. Curt made me love the business. You know, I can answer this question all day long on X. Who was your favorite wrestler? Who made you love the business? Who made you want to watch wrestling? And the answer for me will always be, always will be Curt Hennig. That man was my hero. That's why this podcast exists. But, you know, we're all wrestling fans. In the greatest sense of the beast, you know? It was the wrestling business. It was wrestling. And whether you liked this person or that person, you were still a wrestling fan. And that I can get behind. So, even if you, oh yeah, I remember that person, but I wasn't really a wrestling fan. But you still remember them. You still remember hearing about them. Same thing. So, I'm sorry guys that this is so short. I mean, the match wasn't very long at WrestleMania 5, and I kind of want to do a watch along now of, Lex Luger and Curt Hennig, or Mr. Perfect and the Narcissist at WrestleMania 9. So this one's going to be a very interesting one. I want to do Curt's, promo beforehand because he kind of screws up. And I should have figured that he was, caffeinated up because he does screw up in this promo. He can't say the Lexorcist, he keeps saying the Lexorcist. He can't say the Narcissist Lex Luger. He keeps saying the Lexorcist. And then when you hear, like if you listen really carefully to Mean Gene, he says his spiel and then you can hear Luger in the background, like he's yelling at himself, like, can't you just say it? I guess he was trying to say Lex Luger and the Narcissist, and it came out the Lexorcist. So, I mean, again, he was caffeinated up. He says he blacked out. I do want to play the audio, excuse me, I want to share the audio with you of, they actually talked to Lex Luger about that. So Lex Luger, was interviewed, and the guy asked him, he's like, "Are you sure Curt wasn't ribbing you?" And Luger said, "If it was a rib, then give the Oscar to Curt, because he was the greatest actor in the world." He said Curt apologized up and down for this. So I do want to share that with you. I want to do the promo before the WrestleMania, and then do Luger's entrance, do Curt's entrance, and then we'll watch the match and stuff. We'll kind of do that together. But I do, like I said, want to share that little audio of Luger talking about how Curt botched that match. But if you watch the match, it doesn't look botched at all. So they probably were calling shots until the match was coming back to Curt, because he's just completely blanked about it. So, again, there will be a special promo coming out. It's probably already out. I'm going to do the finishing touches on it. There will be one exclusive for Rumble and one exclusive for YouTube. So if you like that, again, you can sub, follow, like, share, comment. If you can, $1 a month. Every little dollar helps. So if you can, please, please, please be a patron supporter. And if you like what you hear, you can definitely guarantee that I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep pushing out these episodes, because I have so much stuff to watch along to. I can't tell you how much stuff I would see stuff on X, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to watch along to that. Oh my gosh, I have to watch along to that. Oh, I have to watch along to that too. So I have so much stuff, so much material I want to get to. And again, I have a lot of exciting things in the works. A lot of exciting things coming up in the month of February for me. Everyone knows I'm going to have Kit Cabello back on my show, and Angel Riviera, because we're literally going to announce something. I don't want to say what it is yet. I just want to say that thank you, Angel. This has been my dream to do, something with you. And again, Angel told me that he was going to approach me about this, but someone got to him first. A fan of the show kind of got to me first, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So, like I said, this is the big time, guys. This is where your little town show becomes a Broadway musical, okay? And like I said, I have more stuff to come. We have not yet peaked. There's a lot of good stuff coming up in the future, and I look forward to doing it all with you, my fans. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and staying subscribed. And if you, for some reason, are not getting any notifications about upcoming videos, just make sure that YouTube didn't do the impossible and unsubscribe you. I know Kit Cabello says that all the time, that people unsubscribe from his channel, and he's been unsubscribed to Jimmy Dore's channel. So please, please, please make sure that you are still subscribed if you are not getting notifications of new episodes. And like I said, we have not peaked yet. We have so much to get to, so much to come. In fact, I think I was going to do a watch along of on X. I saw someone had put in little pieces of Curt Hennig, and I was just talking about this the other day with Rick Rude. It was Curt Hennig and Rick Rude at ringside, and then it was Nagata, and then it was Larry Hennig, and then Rick Rude's father were at ringside. So we're going to do a watch along with that, because I love that one, especially when the camera guy is like, Larry. He kind of like pushes Larry's arm, and Larry shows this shirt, says Hennig rules, and I was like, I'm like, hey, be gentle with Larry Hennig there. I also would like to share Larry Hennig's interview with when him and Curt are in Portland. It's the promo that made me laugh uncontrollably, because he literally says, well, I was up in Minnesota bear hunting with a switch. I went, huh? What on earth is that? I was so, I just literally, I'm like, well, now we can tell where Curt got his sense of humor. Because I was on the floor laughing. It was so funny. I'm just like, what on the earth is that? It doesn't sound good. It kind of sounds like you're giving the bear a chance to, fight back. A bear hunting with a switch. Boy, I would go hunting with a gun. Bear hunting with a gun, not a switch. I did ask Jesse Ventura this question, and he said, well, Larry was so vicious that he probably could just slap the bear on the ass with a stick. I'll give the devil his due. That's a pretty darn good answer. And better than anything I could come up with, because no one could tell me what that meant. So, I would like to share that with you and show Larry Hennig's funny side. And, of course, I know exactly where Curt got his funny side from, of course, from Larry Hennig. So, again, guys, everything is still, in the works, but good things are coming for me. I've hit the big time now. So, I got to deliver. And I just have so many things coming up for me. And I think this is really going to put me over that new threshold. So our new threshold is 200 subscribers. I definitely think with all the exposure I'm going to have within this next month, I definitely think that's in the works for me. And like I said, my ultimate goal is 20K. And then when we get to 20K, it'll be 40K and 50K and yada yada. And, but right now my goal is 20K. And that's as soon as possible. So if we can reach 20,000 wrestling fans and get them to subscribe to my channels, great. Awesome. And I will literally, I won't do what Kit Cabela wants to do. I'm not going to wear a kilt, because I'm not Roddy Piper. Real men wear kilts. That's always what I tell Kit when he says that. I'm like, real men wear kilts. And that's because Piper would always say it. They showed a picture actually today on X. I'll share this real briefly. On X, they had a picture of Roddy Piper next to Gorilla Monsoon because they had commentated, the 91? It was the 91 Royal Rumble, and you hear Piper go, he was talking about Shawn Michaels because the Rockers were out there. I forgot who they faced. I want to say maybe Pat Tanaka and the Midnight Express, maybe. I think that might have been them. But don't quote me on that. Like I said, research that. Check me on it. If it was another tag team that Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty were with. Great. But I think it was not the Midnight Express. Excuse me. It was the Orient Express. It was the Orient Express, I think. And then Piper makes Shawn Michaels did a move or something and Piper goes, technically perfect. No offense, Mr. Perfect. And all I kept doing was laughing, thinking, even back when I saw this when I was a little kid, because my family had Royal Rumble 91 taped on a VHS. And every time I would watch it, I would laugh at that point because I was like, I don't think Mr. Perfect's in the back going, what the heck? What's that all about? I don't think Mr. Perfect cared. I love when he said that. I'm like thinking, I don't think Curt really cares. Just being honest, I don't really think Curt cares. That you called something technically perfect. So, and it wasn't Mr. Perfect that he was saying was technically perfect. It was the move that Shawn Michaels had done to the Orient Express. I believe it was the Orient Express. Like I said, someone check me on that because I'm not really sure if it was them at Royal Rumble 91, but anyway, I think I've jabbered on enough, but, again, guys, if you can really support me $1 a month, every little dollar counts, trust me, it really does, and, with more subscribers, we could have that potential of more Patreon supporters, so if you can give today $1 a month, and I will read your name just like I do with Charlie Brown Politics. Really appreciate you, Charlie Brown. Every little dollar helps. So if you could just do $1, hey, just do $1. If you can do $3, do $3. If you can do $5, do $5, and $10 if you can do $10. If you can only do $1, hey, every little dollar helps. Because I guarantee you, if you help me, you help people like me who are literally living paycheck to paycheck. And right now I am that person. I don't really want to be that person, but that's what you have to do. And, I'm making sacrifices for my son. That's what you have to do as a parent. So if he eats and I don't, that's how it has to be. But right now, and I'm not trying to, guilt you into anything, it's just something I'm going to have to deal with for a little while until, I get that support. Not from you guys, but if I get support. That's all I will say. But until a little bit more money comes in, like I said, I'll be living that paycheck to paycheck until things kind of roll around for me. But it's just a little bit of bad luck, and that's okay. You gotta start somewhere. But if you guys really could help me, hey, $1 a month, do it. If that's all you can do. If you can't do anything, and you just want to, subscribe for free, do it. Do whatever you can. Alright? So, everything will be in the description field. Don't be afraid to comment. I love comments. I love feedback. Just let me know, how you feel about everything that's going to happen, everything that has happened. Like I said, we have not peaked yet, and we still have more things to come. So just be on the lookout for new and exciting things, okay, guys? And remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect. Nobody.